ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 4 of the ARC GR3 Championship season. My name is Lateral G, and I'm joined in the commentary booth by...
Back again, it's for Savaloy. How you doing then?
I'm doing quite good myself, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we are here at the infamous Green Hell, the Nurburgring 24 hours. And it's not going to be easy for the drivers today, now is it?
No, definitely not. Especially when I do believe it's the first time that they're racing under the lights in a GR3 championship race.
That is
correct.
It
is.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's a complete different mindset for all the drivers that are going into this.
That it will be. And another interesting thing to note, the qualifying time hasn't been increased for this race at all. Still only 15-minute qualifying. So it's roughly just over an 8-minute lap. So they're only going to have one lap for qualifying.
Yeah, basically you've got to have yourself at least a good lap or a perfect lap for a chance to be in Group A. You know, if you make a mistake or a couple of mistakes, then we're not going to be showing you on in Group A. Put it that way. Not to sound harsh or anything, but you know, no pressure. Eh?
It's definitely the one time of the year where anything can happen. So, yeah, I mean, you could see some of those, as we were talking about just before the stream, you could see some of the Tier C drivers, if they get in that one good lap, up into Tier A. And some of the Tier A drivers that might be faithful can make a bit of a mistake somewhere. And it's like they spin at the carousel or something, and they end up down in Lobby C. So if anyone needs to try and score some good points, today is the day to do it. Yeah,
definitely. Unfortunately, the guy who won the last time in Group A, Chile, is unfortunately not racing today because of other commitments. So you could say that's a bit of a blow to the Group A championship.
That it is. It's a little sad to see the driver who's been not only just won of his first race the last round, but has been on the podium the first 3 rounds, and currently the only man who seems to be able to take it to Alex Rogers for the championship this year isn't showing up today.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a blow then. And obviously Alex said in the interview 2 weeks ago, he said that he loves this racetrack. So, you know, if he gets a win here, then possibly that might be the championship maybe wrapped up for him.
It very well could be, but there are still 2 more races in the championship left to go. We have Tokyo, and now it's finally in the game. The final round of the championship is now confirmed to be Cirque du Spa. So that's going to be exciting for everyone here involved.
Yeah, absolutely. That's my favorite track ever. Honestly, I'm so happy that it's on there after months of speculation. It's finally come out, Lado. Oh yes.
Now, unfortunately, I have to admit I'm a little upset. It's not going to be a wet spa, but it's still spa nonetheless. So it's here, and I don't know if I can confirm or deny or say this, but I do know, because I have access to the admin chat in the Discord, I do know what track it would have been had a spa not been added to the game, but I don't know if I have the ability to say that right now. I have...
no.
I mean, spa's in the game, so it's spa's in the game now, so it's not a big deal if I do tell people I would expect, but I don't want to get on the bad side of any of the admins here. But it definitely would have been an exciting race. I'll say that.
but when we off the stream, we had loads of people in the general chat, and everyone was like, "Oh, what's the last round? What's the last round?" Oh no, we can't tell you that. We can't tell you that.
So, just for a bit of an update, still waiting on Lobby A to get started here. We had a bit of a pit bug when we were to start qualifying, so we're just restarting the lobby. Some of the drivers are restarting their games so we can get that underway. But you are watching Lobby B, because Ruby is not with us here today, so has that gotten underway yet?
Yeah, that's gotten underway. It's just 3 minutes in. I'm looking at Nido now. I don't know why, but I should be looking at some of the other guys out on there. We got Matty, M3D, Nido, Mermaid Bubble, Findogas, Nigatti, Thunderpig. There's only 12 people in this lobby. Yeah, I thought there would have been 14, but a couple must have dropped out at the moment. But yeah, they're 4 minutes in, so they're about halfway through the lap, and yeah, I'll just come back to see when the first guy comes across the line, which will be Matty. But like I said, he's halfway around the circuit right now.
All right, so just once again getting this way underway here. To wait for everyone to join in here. When it's going to be a long outlap here, regardless, it's going to be roughly an 8-minute outlap. So we'll see how that turns out here. So we got a lot to talk about. And speaking of things to talk about, let's bring up our Dan's here. Dan's has quite an eventful day so far, I have to admit.
Yes, he has. Yes.
So for some of you that might not know or happen to do know, there is a popular YouTuber on YouTube that does content for GT Sport. His name is Super GT, and earlier today, and I still believe right now, he is currently running a 200-lap endurance race on the newly added Spa. And Dan's was partaking in that race, and I believe it was up into 4th place, as high as 4th. I think he was about 5th place by the time he dropped out around the 100-lap mark, because he had to come and race this race. But
yeah,
he might not be 100% coming in this race. That was roughly 4 hours he ran before he came into this in a completely different car on a completely different track. So might be a bit of a culture shock to him here.
Possibly, but yeah, he's also races with a pad, isn't he? That's why you call him what was it, the Pro Pad King?
Pad King Dan's.
Pad King Dan's, yeah. So his hands would have been like really tired or that, having to race for about 4 hours straight. So he'll come into this probably not refreshed, whereas the others possibly will have. It would just be interesting to see how Dan's will get on. Also, one thing to mention is what regarding with Dan's as well. I think it was also last Saturday he did a 4-hour endurance race with another league, and I think he finished 3rd. But that was at Saikwa. So yeah, Dan's really you could say he's a bit of an endurance expert then, isn't he?
Yeah, he's definitely been putting the laps in, that's for sure. Now whether it's gonna help him here, I don't know how much practice he has on the Nordschleife. So it'll be interesting to see. As we mentioned earlier, some drivers probably going to end up in Lobby C if they can't get that one lap together. So we'll see if Dan's can actually get it put together. So it's going to be quite interesting here as we're just getting it underway. All the drivers starting their out lap here. Speaking of endurance events, sorry to jump in there, but we have another endurance event coming up here for ARC. We're having our own Spa endurance race. 3 hours of Spa on November 23rd. And yours truly will be competing.
Yeah, you'll probably do a better job than me last week at Suzuka.
You were up there for quite a bit. You were doing a good job there at the start of the race, and then had a bit of incidents that knocked you back, but that's racing. You were doing pretty solid there for a bit.
I solid in my rainbow-coloured car, but yeah, I got involved in an incident which wasn't really anyone's fault, and things went from bad to worse. Then the car that I drove was absolutely horrible. Like, like no word of a lie. The rear stepped out so easily on that Honda. The amount of, I think I must have spun out in the first corner at least 3 times, but I could have spun out as 50 times because that rear end was so easy to go away. So, to me, to finish in last place, well, it was. Yeah, like I said, it was a car I didn't like, so, probably last place was what I got there.
Well, the only thing we can say is learn from our mistakes. Now, one thing you will see on screen right now is a driver you haven't normally seen before here. And he's the Maltesian driver of Benjit MCK. He is someone that has stepped up to the Pan-Galactic Gargle Blasters team to replace some of the drivers that have left the championship. So he's here getting some qualifying laps, and we saw him just going around Alex Rogers there on his out lap. But we see Alex Rogers doing a bit of fuel burning, but Benjit not quite. Actually, one interesting thing, Benjit's on the mediums for qualifying as he just ends up in the gravel trap a little bit there. That's an interesting strategy for qualifying.
I tell you what, I think there's other people in Group B that are on the mediums too. I see Mermaid Bubble is on mediums. Nido is on mediums. Just looking through all the drivers too. Yeah, just 2 of them on mediums. Sorry.
Do you think that they're going to the mediums specifically because they feel that the softs can't last that 8-minute outlap, or 8-minute outlap and the 8-minute qualifying lap?
Well, I tell you something. When I was watching the Group B practicing, and I see Nido doing a lap, just one lap, and his soft tyres were already down to about 50%. So I think if people are not confident with the soft tyres, then obviously the medium tyres is the better option for them.
Yeah, I think the medium tires, just how much longer it takes for the tires to wear off, feel like it helps them towards the end of the lap here in their actual flying lap, because they can't pit for another set of tires and then do a lap. They don't have that luxury here. So perhaps the medium tires might be the right call. We'll see. As we mentioned, everything could be up in the air here as we're halfway along some of these outlaps here. A lot of fuel burning to try to make that car as light as they can for their one flying lap here. Let's see if anyone else happens to be on the mediums, as we see a pack of cars there all doing a bit of fuel burning together. Willie Wugnow joining that pack.
Do you think that's a good idea to see like a pack of cars there? Normally, if I'd be doing something like that, I would, spread myself away from like a pack of cars. Just in case if there's like someone that's making a mistake and then you'd have to slow down, or maybe you get caught up in an incident.
That's quite possible. But this is their outlap, so I don't know if there is any benefit or not to whether or not fuel burning while in a pack actually helps you or not. I don't have experience to say whether or not it does. But so it is interesting to know. But perhaps maybe they're trying to just maybe a driver's agreement here of some kind, maybe to try and work together, try and stay in that lobby with a bit of drafting here at Nurburgring. Because these are the Tier A drivers, they're no slouches, but Nurburgring does bite. So maybe trying to stick together with a bit of a drafting partner here might be their strategy to try and stay on top and score some solid points today.
Of course, you don't want to try and hold them up too. That's the thing there. Just looking here, Predy's the first to go on a fast lap. He's actually in his Lexus actually going through. I think it was just after the Vito chicane, so he's onto the notch life part, and he is literally flying. Nearly made a mistake. Sorry, I was just having a drink of juice there because my throat's nearly going already.
Still watching some of these Tier A drivers still doing their outlap. We're at 6 minutes into a 15-minute qualifying, and they're still doing outlaps as we see Benji just rounding the carousel for his first time. So it's going to be quite interesting here with qualifying. Some drivers are going to be cutting it real close to the line to make sure they can actually get that lap in. I'm gonna have to ask before qualifying is over. Let's not pick necessarily a favorite driver, because that could be blown up in the air at any time here. So let's try and pick a preferred car here. What manufacturer do you think will come out on top here today?
Oh, I think I would probably say Porsche. Really, in fairness, I think. The Porsche seems to always go well here because there's some really sharp corners and the Porsche is very good on the brakes. Obviously not good on the straights, but when it comes to cornering, it's a lot better. As you see that PK driving the Porsche. I think I could call him to be the favourite to win this race actually, because PK knows his way around this track as well as Alex. But yeah, for me, I think the Porsche could be quite suited around the Nurburgring. Nissan. There was some fast corners that may understeer a bit. Citroen possibly the same as well. The Beetle could also be quite good on the straights too. So it's I would definitely go for Porsche. Like,
interesting option here. So one thing I have learned here that had been told to me by Renault Thomas is the ability to enter the cockpit of some of these cars for qualifying here. So just on board with PKMZ here in his Porsche, as you just mentioned. So a new camera angle for us to explore here throughout this race. Definitely interesting with the LEDs and the rev shifter here and the night race.
Hopefully people with epilepsy won't get out by that. The flashing lights on the steering wheel.
Well, you have to blame PK for that, for banging off the rev limiter. Back at the front, we have Benji 8 minutes into his outlap here. You see him coming up to the line here. He hasn't done too much fuel burning, and he may have used his mediums just a little bit too much. It'll be interesting to see if he can still get a good lap out of him. I mean, if you compare it to Alex Rogers and his racing softs, it's night and day the difference that they have. So I feel like Benji's been made a pretty big mistake pushing really hard the first spot of the lap to try and build that clean air. While Alex Rogers has been sitting back and doing everything he can. He's almost at half a tank of fuel here, and he's got a full strength to burn a lot of it, so it'll be interesting to see.
I mean, that Volkswagen is also good on tyres as well. I can remember when DV Black used to race in the Beetle season 1, he says the Volkswagen's very good on the tyres, and obviously Ruby drove it for 2 seasons too, how good he was on the tyres and all. So that also could play a factor too, the tyre wears.
Actually, a bit of tyre weaving there, Max. I was just gonna time left. We just hit the 9-minute 30-second mark, and actually, you see Alex Rogers doing a bit of tire scrubbing. That's actually kind of interesting to think here, is because the pace that a lot of them are going at for this outlap, the tires have a lot of time to cool themselves down to not be at optimal grip when they enter the GP section of the 24-hour circuit here. So maybe doing a bit of tire scrubbing might be a bit favorable for Alex Rogers here. It's an interesting idea.
I didn't even know tire temperature was a thing in GT Sport. I know they had it in Project Cars, but not in GT Sport, I don't think.
I know it was there in Gran Turismo 6. It's not as relevant here in Gran Turismo Sport, but it's an interesting idea. Whether or not it'll work out for him, I guess we'll find out as he's about to start his first flying lap here. 10 minutes into qualifying, 5 minutes remain.
We got qualifying finished in Group B, and still M. Preview, who's the first guy that was on his first lap, is about 3/4 way into his one and only lap.
Rogers getting underway here with Benji ahead of him also getting underway, so we'll see how this goes for both of them. Looking farther back to the field, Thomas TT starting his lap, followed by GR3 Contrail. Hideki Sam is going to be starting his lap soon as he rounds the last corner, exiting the Nurburgring, about to cross the line. Cobra GT going to be joining him soon as he comes to the end of the lawn, straight away on the Nordschleife. Beckham's going to be following him, followed by PK, Danz, Willywug, Tay the Day, and the Stig. Now, it looks like Stig is going to be cutting it real close for qualifying. 4 minutes left, and he's only just now on the straightaway.
He should be fine. It won't take about 4 minutes to go across that long straight in the start-finish line.
I would hope not, but with the amount of fuel burning he's been doing, it's going to be cutting it a bit close.
Are the drivers all spreading out too?
Yes, they have started to spread out for the most part.
Yeah, that's all right then.
So almost 12 minutes here as he ends this end of the straightaway. We should be clear, but it'll be interesting. It'd be a big mistake if he doesn't make it, though.
Nah, he'll be fine. About 3 minutes to go. He should be relatively okay. I'm just looking at him. He's also on that long straightaway where Stig is too on your screen. So he's going to be the first to complete his one and only lap. He's just got a few corners to go. He's got this right-hander and then left-hander a little bit loose, and now he's onto the straightaway. So then, M3D, first time, will be on here, and M3D does an 8 minutes 27.022, which by my reckoning, which is about 23 seconds slower than what Alex did in practice.
That is true. However, Alex Rogers is quite the expert of this track. We did see it at the Nurburgring 1 hour event that we did. So yeah, he did that entire 1 hour race without any mistakes. So it's going to be quite interesting. Alex Rogers probably odds-on favorite to win here today. But again, this is an ARC race and it's a standing start, so anything could happen.
Matty's just come across the line, 8 minutes 33, 6.2 seconds off Mpredi. Findo Gask is the third guy to come across in the Aston Martin. Isn't he a new driver, Findo Gask, or is he...
No, he's been in it for a while. There are 4 new drivers in total. Let me see if I can find all of their names
Findo Gask goes into pole, 8 minutes 26.706, only 3 tenths faster. Mermaid Bubble, he comes across the line 9 minutes and 1.255, and he was the first on mediums. So Mermaid must have made a mistake. Nido goes to the top, 8 minutes 25.382, 1.3 seconds faster. But yeah, it looks like Mermaid Bubble is not going to be racing in Group B, I don't think. If he did a 9-minute one, Bugatti there. Bugatti in the Porsche, he's coming across the line, and he's going to be definitely faster. 8 minutes 15.636. That could be good enough to be in Group B.
It very well could be, as we have 1 minute left for Lobby A to go here, and all the drivers have started their flying lap. So, as the timing stands, as we mentioned, only 1 lap here.
Thunder Pig goes 5th, 8 minutes 30.629. He's 15 seconds off the pace. Jans is, I believe, the next guy. He's just gone by the long start straightaway. And now he's just coming across the start-finish line. It's not going to be pole position for Jans, who was really the star in Sedegna. He goes 2nd, 8 minutes 25.069, nearly 9.5 seconds slower than Bugatti. We will now go to Law. Is anyone close to start-finish line on your one? Where's Banji at?
He's only about halfway around the track, about 5 minutes in.
Right, okay, so here comes Law. He comes across the line and goes pole, 8 minute 13.847, but he's got a grid penalty, hasn't he?
Yes, he does. He does have a 3-place grid penalty for Law. As well as, let's make sure we get everyone's names. So we have Law and Chris F. But actually, no, Law and Chris F only have drive-throughs, so excuse us for that. But it's Hideki and Marflis that have a 3-place grid penalty.
Okay, then. Right, Robocopy 5000, he just came across the line. He goes 3rd, 8 minutes 17.742. Who's next to go line? The qualifier, the hard at work guy, Pro Magna, he comes across. He's just after the long straightaway in his Nissan GTR. He's done 2 Group A races, I believe he has. Can he make it 3 in 4 with a time of 8 minutes 18.077? And last guy to come across is Defiant, the Tier B Group Season 1 champion. He's just gone by the long straightaway, you know, in his Ford Mustang. And he's actually the last car to come across the line in their Group B qualifying, and he comes in a time of 8 minutes 23.284. That puts him 5th. And that's Group B qualified over. So over to you, Latno, for Group B.
Well, some of the drivers are starting to near the end of the lap here. They're on the long section of the Nurburgring here, after part of the carousel here, just on board with Benji as he tries to do his lap here. He seems to be on the ragged edge of that Lexus. Whether or not it'll be a good lap or not, we have yet to see. No splits for us to find out comparing times here, as anyone else has set a time yet. So qualifying is officially over. I will.
You better put that in there. Yep. Stuff. Oh, he's in the gravel.
And he is in the gravel. Alex Rogers will go by. So Benji with a big mistake here. That's probably going to cost him. We'll see if he can stay in Lobby A. But Alex Rogers now on a hard charge. You see the sparks flying from underneath that Volkswagen Beetle. The front brakes glowing. Let's see what kind of lap time he can get here as he ends towards the end of the lap. Let's look at some of the other drivers. Thomas TT doing a solid job around here. His home track, the Nurburgring Contrail. I think he had a bit of an off earlier in practice, but never mind. He keeps it pretty under control. Hideki Sama has a 1.4 second penalty. Now he will have to serve that before he crosses the line. So whether or not that'll cost him heavily on this lap, we will see. Kobu GT doing kind of solid there in 6th place currently. Beckham and PKMZ still close together, so maybe PK, if he can get up to the back of Beckham here in the long straight, he might be able to get a bit of a draft from that AMG, and that'll favor him in the long run here. We have Dance here, the man who's raced for almost 5 hours straight today. Currently in 9th place, still yet to, all these drivers yet to set a time. Willie Wug in his Super Intent, Tay the Day, the lone Citroen currently in qualifying for Lobby A in 11th, and the Stig in his GTR in 12th. So back at the front of the pack here, looks like they're coming to the end of the front straightaway. Let's see what Alex Rogers can do. There's a few more corners to go. Let's see if he can set a solid time here. It's looking pretty good. We're just hit the 8 minutes here. He has one more corner to go.
Yeah, this could possibly be maybe like 809.
Looking like it's going to be an 810, 810.7 flat.
Yeah. So Alex will be definitely on the pole position. That would be his I want to say his 9th pole position in Tier A. That's a pretty good stat to have there. 14 races he's going to be in. That could be potentially his 9th pole position.
Well, Thomas TT went second place with an 8:12. We're going to have Contrail come up to the line here with an 8:24. I'll put him provisionally third. Benji crossed the line with an 8:33, I believe it was. 8:35, excuse me. So we're going to have Hideki Sama up here after serving his penalty. It doesn't look to be a good strong lap as he messes up the last sector, but he could still get a solid lap out of it. We'll see where he can cross the line. Looking around being 8:20, 8:21. 8:22, I'll put him provisionally third. You have Kobu GT rounding the end of that long straightaway. Let's see what he can do. A few more corners for him to go. Very neat and tidy through there. Gets a little squirrely at the exit though, but it doesn't look to be too fast of a lap for him. But we'll see what he can do. Crosses the line with an 8:23. I'll put him fourth. And we have Beckham and PKMZ crossing the line with an 8:18, and PKMZ will go third with an 8:15. Dan's crossing the line now with an 8:14. That'll put him provisionally third. Let's see if I cross following people here. We have Willy Wug coming up to the end of the line here. The German on his home track, just scraping the wall, but it's looking to be a very solid lap from Willy Wug in his Supra. Then across the line with an 8:14. Actually, no, he goes fourth. Then we have the Stig and Tay the Day yet to set their laps, but Tay the Day has actually been passed by the Stig. So he's actually at 8 minutes now. So Tay the Day made a huge mistake in his Citroen, and he's probably not going to stay in Lobby A.
This will be a horrible day for the Citroen because Chili's not in it, and it looks like T's not going to be in Group A with this one. Excuse me.
So we're going to see here. Stig comes up to the line 8:03 here, so he's not going to grab pole, but he might be pretty close. Stig's always been a fast driver. Let's see if he can do it in a GTR. Will he out-qualify Kobu GT as he comes up to the line? Yes, he will, and puts it third. And then we have the last driver to cross the line will be Tay the Day. Let's see if I can find him on track here. Coming up to the line here, it's looking to be around a 9-minute lap, so not a good qualifying for Tay the Day after a big mistake.
That possibly could be, you know, oh well, he's not happy there, brushed the wall. But yeah, he's possibly at the same time as Bubble did in Group B, and they might be in Group C. So
let's have a look at all of our times. We have Alex Rogers on pole for Tier A with an 8:10.7. The Stig in second place with an 8:14.3. Actually, no, excuse me. Some of the drivers went into the pits here, so it would be. Let me sure if I get these times right.
I think it was Thomas. Thomas, and then Dan's.
Thomas is second with an 8:12.2, and then it was Stig in second with an 8:14.3. Then Dan's with an 8:14.8. Willy Wug in what would be fifth with an 8:15 flat. PK in sixth with an 8:15.8. Beckham in sixth with a. I want to make sure, no, it would be seventh, excuse me, with an 8:19.3. And then Hideki Sama with his 3-place grid penalty would be. I want to make sure I get this right. +2. That'd put him around 13th in just this lobby alone. But that 8:22, I believe, has been beaten by some of those Tier B drivers, correct?
What time is it? What time did Hideki did? What, 8:22?
8:22.4.
8:22.4. So Robocopy did an 8:17.7, and he was third. Then the next guy back was the Fire, and he went 8:23.2. So that's in between. That's Fast and Defiance time by about a couple of temps. 8 temps. About 8 temps. Looking at my screen.
That's not too terrible. He might just manage to stay in Lobby A with that. But some of the drivers towards the back of the field, like Contrail, Benji, and Tay the Day, probably aren't going to be staying in Lobby A.
What lap time did the Stick do? 8:14.
8:14.3.
Yeah, so Lord did an 8:13.8, but he's got a free grip place penalty. So by my reckoning, Law should be 5th.
That's a pretty good qualifying from Law then.
That's a very good qualifying. I think that might be his best yet. Let me have a look. I don't think I have Law on here at all yet. But yeah, I think to my knowledge, that will be his best ever qualifying.
Well, some good points for those teams there as we wait for all the times to be added to the chart for everyone to be put into the right lobbies here. A bit of an interesting qualifying as we predicted here. A bit of some drivers not quite getting it together and some drivers really pulling it out in the end.
Yeah, and we said this before, you know, one mistake and you're not going to be in Group A. And I see that Mermaid Bubble did a 9-minute one, which would possibly put him in Group C. And we know that Bubble was too good of a driver to be in Group C. And also, Tay Day, he must have made a mistake somewhere. And he ended up doing, what was it, an 9-minute odd lap or something like that. So he could be in Group C too. It just goes to show, can't afford to make a mistake around this track.
Another thing to point out is, even though they didn't get the best lap, they're normally in Tier A, their consistency on this track might not be good enough to necessarily get them the win in their respective tier. So even if they have normally a good driver and they just had the one bad lap, that one bad lap over the course of a 40-minute race on Nurburgring could add up to almost every lap being a bad lap. So there's no guarantee that even the fast guys will necessarily stay at the top.
I mean, we talked when we did, you know, Sedegna and all that, you know, the concentration levels is pretty straightforward for the likes of, you know, Saikwa and Sedegna, etc. But for this track, you've got to be really concentrated. You've got to know every corner. You've got to know what gear change and the racing lines. You can't afford to make a mistake out there. It's just the concentration levels from this track compared to the other track is huge.
This track could make or break the championship for not just many drivers, but many of the manufacturers' teams. One thing I'll have to admit we didn't quite go over when we started, but I'm just going to go back to the screen here and pull up the points.
Oh yeah, the driver points. Yeah, we forgot about that.
Just pull up the points. You do have Team 2 in a quite comfortable lead with 1,093 points, but Team Brian was only just behind by less than 20 points. And with Chilnam not making this race and Tay the Day's poor qualifying, it's going to be hard for Team Brian to stay in that top 3 of the championship. You have Mr. Motorsport with Willie Wugg getting a actually pretty solid lap in there, so there should be some good points on board for them here with the Supras. I'm not quite sure how his teammates did in Tier B. You'd have to look at that again if it still happens to be there, so it'd be interesting to see if maybe the Supras could take it to the Beatles here. And then we have Good Smile Racing, a good qualifying or decent qualifying from Kobu GT, and excellent from the Stig, so the Nissans should be looking pretty strong here if they can keep it together. It's just this track is make or break in the championship for so many people. With only 2 more races left, it's going to be pretty big.
I was just going to say with the Toyotas, I didn't notice Jake Dan Harry being in the Group A too. I take it they're not racing.
I guess not. I guess this is a race where many of the drivers don't necessarily feel too comfortable racing. So I guess feel them. It's not an easy track for many drivers. And speaking of drivers, looking at the Tier A points, we have Alex Rogers, of course, currently leading the championship. Chili in second, but again, he's not here. Willie Wugg is in that 3rd spot. And if he can score some solid points here, he could actually be up there if he has the next 2 more good races. I don't think he's going to necessarily pass Alex Rogers unless Alex has some disastrous races with a disconnect or some kind of wheel failure. But Willie Wugg is definitely a potential contender for that 2nd or 3rd spot on the podium over here for Tier A.
Yeah, I mean, we did see a lot of mistakes in Alex's Season 2, but, I mean, so far in Season 3, Alex has been pretty flawless, I would say.
And then we have Dan's just outside them in 4th, but he had a pretty good qualifying here. But whether or not he can stay on it, we'll see if his endurance will last him this race. That'll be interesting. PKMZ had pretty good. Thomas TT actually had also a really good qualifying. We haven't seen him have a qualifying like that since round 1 of Season 3 here at Kyoto.
He struggled around Sedegna because he picked up a penalty after the first race, and then he picked up another penalty for the Saikwa race. So we didn't see a lot of Thomas over the last couple of races, but, you know, up there tonight.
And then looking at Tier B, Mermaid Bubble, the current leader of Tier B, as you mentioned, really bad qualifying. He's probably going to end up in Tier C, so not some good points for him.
Yeah.
We have
that also helped Jans in the championship too.
And we have Nugatti, who had an excellent qualifying. That should put him once again in Lobby A for the Porsches. So possibly 2 Dynasty drivers in Lobby A. So some good points for them to possibly bring it back to start competing with the Nissans and the Supras and the Citroens. Some good for them. Law, as you mentioned, excellent qualifying from him. So probably going to have at least 2 Supras in Lobby A. So it's going to be quite interesting, this race. This is, as we mentioned, make or break a championship for just so many teams. And then in Lobby C, we have Techno Guys there, currently leading the championship with a bit of a comfortable lead there over Chris FO, who we mentioned earlier does have a drive-through penalty for this race. And then we have Tarbo Tenku, currently in third with 141 points, PRCD, and then Pingophone in sixth with the Tournicus in fifth. So not quite sure on how the Tier C qualifying went. We don't have a reporter in that lobby to give us updates on it. I do believe someone in chat did mention that the fastest time for Lobby C was an 8:25. So
that's pretty good going, actually.
Yeah, that's not too bad when you consider a lot of the times in Lobby. That's pretty competitive with our mid upper pack of Lobby B.
Yeah, and I'm guessing the guy in last place there, Man 918, is has left his ride because he must have been replaced by another driver in a Lexus, but I can't remember who it was. Was it Banjeet? Was he in a Lexus?
Yes. So it's quite possible. Yeah, I believe it was, yes. I believe Q has dropped out of the championship as well. So I'm not quite sure who is Q's replacement for this championship. We have a couple drivers dropping out, with other drivers, as we mentioned earlier, coming in. So that does it for our points. Still waiting on everyone for the times to get calculated here. So I guess it's safe to say for us here, Alex Rogers probably going to take the win today.
I think looking by statistics and seeing how fast he was in practice, it's a pretty easy claim that he would be one of the favourites around here. But I mean, I would still say PK. PK is still very good around here. But, you know, I think it's a safe bet to say Alex could be one of the favourite to win here and extend that championship lead as well in the process.
Now, as you mentioned, standing start. However, 8-minute lap time around the Nurburgring, which would favorably favor the Beetle. Whether or not Alex would be able to maintain the lead into turn 1, as we mentioned, we got the Stag, there's Willy Wug there. Well, the Supra's not as good on the start, but you have the Mustang with Dan's. Whether or not he will be able to lead into turn 1 and be able to hold on to it, that's another story. And then there's possible mistakes and then other incidents with the drivers along the track. It's going to be also hard for a lot of the stewards to actually steward this race, because they need the replay, and sometimes when the track is so big and the race is so long, they can't get the replay to necessarily steward.
Yeah, they had that problem last week in Suzuka. A lot of them corrupted, so they had to ask for yours truly to get some. So I thought, yeah, okay, I'll help out. But yeah, it's I wouldn't be in a stewarding position for this race at all. Honest to God, I wouldn't.
So it's going to be quite interesting here. Nurburgring, as we mentioned, make or break championship. Still waiting for all the times to be calculated here. Should be happening quite soon. Let's talk about some of these other drivers here. Kobu GT, the man that was on pace for a good solid podium finish at St. Croix, ran out of fuel, finished 12th in Lobby A. A bit of a disastrous race for him. Do you think he maybe in here he can try to claw some of those points back that he might have lost?
I think he's definitely out for some retribution. I think it was a well-deserved podium finish for Kobu, only for the fuel to run out. Which, to be fair, he really didn't deserve it. You were bringing it up on the podcast that was supposed to have with Ruby about his first stint, how he was staying in the second place, keeping Alex Rogers behind when Alex was on the soft tyres and Kobu was on the medium tyres was pretty outstanding. Mm-hmm. But Kobu thoroughly deserved that podium, and like he says, ended up finishing 12th. I hope he does well. He deserves it. He needs it, just to get his confidence back, because obviously he would have been disappointed from round 3. But we'll see. There's a lot of straightaways on there. The Nissan could be good round there. So we'll just find out. We just hope that Cope has a good finish.
Another driver I want to talk about is Dan's. One thing to note with Dan's, as we mentioned earlier, he was competing in a endurance race on Spa earlier. Did 100 laps of Spa. That's roughly 2 minutes 18 seconds a lap on a good lap. And then he did that for 100 laps, and then he took an hour break and then came to race this. And then, as you mentioned, the week before he did another 4-hour endurance race on St. Croix. So he's getting the laps under his belt, but whether or not it'll help him here, it'll be interesting to see.
I don't know how he does it. I literally don't know how he does it, like, to do them kind of races. I think, to be honest, he could be mentally tired, physically tired. I don't know. But we'll just see how he does. If his head's in the game after doing 100 laps around Spa in I'm sorry, he's now in a Ford Mustang now, isn't he? I don't know. If he gets a podium finishes, then he's my hero.
But I do want to mention, as we brought up with Kobu, Dan's also was one of those drivers at St. Croix, yet again, to run out of fuel just before the line.
Yes, I forget. Yes, yeah.
So, and if you look back to race 1 of this season at Kyoto, the poor qualifying, the poor finish, finishing 12th towards the back of the pack of that race. Do you feel that Dan's is just a really slow starter whenever a championship starts up? Like we saw this at season 2 as well with his race at Dragon Trail. He was fighting around in the mid pack, and it really only took until Fuji he had a good finish, but until towards
it
the
wasn't
more
until halfway.
Yeah,
it was the second half. That was when Dan's picked it up. Maybe it was just down to the tracks. Like he says, he made a few mistakes at the Kraken, which he wasn't the only driver to do. And then, he was battling between the Porsches, which I mean, also Alex was battling with them too. Back in season 2. I think it's just down to the tracks, because I spoke to Dan's before the Kyoto race. He said that the Ford is just not good around there at all. So it just could be down to the tracks in the first race of the season.
So Dan's late starter, currently, as we showed earlier, sitting 4th place in the points. The Mustang's not doing too hot in the constructors, but he's been trying to claw it back slowly but surely. Another driver we want to talk about a bit is Thomas TT. First race of the season, great finish for him. Podium finish, came 2nd place. Race 2 and 3, it was a bit of a, you probably won't want to forget those. I believe it was race 3 at St. Croix. He didn't even make it into Lobby B. Or he made Lobby A, I should say. He made it qualified for Lobby B. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I think he finished towards the back, if not directly last in the 2nd round, and then Lobby B in the 3rd round. But has a good qualifying here at Nurburgring. One could argue his home track, the German here in Germany.
Belgian.
Oh, yes, correct. Again, I made that mistake. Again. Once again. I make the mistake. They have this, in my defense, the flags have the same colors in it. It's just one's one way and the other's the other way.
One's vertical and one's the other's horizontal.
I'm not the best with flags, I'll admit that, but the driver, he pretty good here, but do you think will he be able to hold it? Or do you think do you see him making mistakes here?
I think a few of the drivers in Group A will make mistakes. Thomas is not going to be the only one. If Thomas could do like a proper run, then he should be well up there. It's what he needed. It's what he needs is a great finish. Because, like he says, the previous 2 races have been nothing short of disastrous. Although I looked on my stats screen, he went on to finish 7th for Sabigno when he qualified early. So, with including the grip penalties. So, for 2nd race, he did all right. But like you said, the 3rd race, he didn't qualify in Group A. So he needs it. If he wants to get his championship back up and running, this is the race to do it.
All right. Well, we have the official qualifying charts here. So everyone's going to be swapping around here. So we have officially on pole Alex Rogers, In second place, we have Thomas TT in third place with Law 226 from Lobby B, but he does have a drive-through penalty to serve. The Stig is in fourth, Dan's in fifth, Willy Wug in fifth, Nugatti from Lobby B qualifies seventh. Willy Wug in sixth, Nugatti seventh, PKMZ in eighth, Robocopy, good qualifying for him to put it in ninth place, CRubennnn in 10th, Beckham in 11th, Defiant in 12th, and then Kobu GT in 13th. So that's almost half of the normal qualifying lobby for Lobby A, not quite making it here.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. Who's they made it from Group B? You got Law, you had Nugatti, Robocopy, Crow, and Defiant. So you got 4 people from Group B. So there was 12 people that were in it. So what's that? A third? 33%. That's not bad. Like, and Techno Guy, 18th fastest, and who was the fastest guy in Group C. So that's a pretty solid effort from Techno Guy.
That it is. And looking at Lobby B, we have Contrail on pole for Lobby B, Jans in second, Nito in third, Hideki-sama in 17th. But once again, that is because he actually has a five place grid penalty. Excuse me. So that's 5 place for Hideki-sama. So that's why he would have been in Lobby A, but the penalty put him back to Lobby B. Techno Guy in a 18th place overall, which would be 5th in Lobby B. Findogask in 6th, Pierre in 7th, Impredi 8th, Thunderpig in 9th, Bad Fastard in 10th. Matt
That's a new guy.
Yep, he is new driver. Matty actually not doing too hot, second last in Lobby B, 24th overall. Then Benji here from Lobby A, starting last place in Lobby B.
I'm just looking through the rest of them here as well. Taylor Day and Mermaid Bubble, 33rd, 34th. They're going to be starting on the second to last row in Group C, and it just goes to show one mistake and it costs you so much.
That it is. Actually, I'm looking at the difference in times between 1st and 13th here for Lobby A. 13 seconds. Now, it seems like a lot, but when you consider it's an 8-minute lap time, it's not that bad.
It's not that bad, yeah. I mean, if you look at what was the qualifying at Sedegna, what was it, 1st to 14th, it was like 8/10 of a second. And then you compare it to a longer track like this, and 13 seconds is, you feel that it's not that much, but it feels it. But
and when you're looking at Lobby B, from 14th to 25th overall, 8:24 compared to an 8:35, that's 9 seconds.
Yeah, it's close. Like, it's definitely close.
So we should be on course for an interesting race here. As everyone starts joining the correct lobby, we should bring the race to you here momentarily. As everyone starts to join, should be 13 total drivers. Let's just make sure we have that many in the lobby here.
Yeah, usually 14, but we've got 13 here.
That looks about what we're gonna have here. 15 out of 16 plus us. So, yeah, about 13 drivers here. So we're just waiting to get underway here. So will some of the Tier B drivers finally claw their way up to a podium position? Or will Tier A still reign supreme? Another thing I've just noticed, once again, our Season 2 champion Lemmy not present for today.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. We after over talking, we've done that and we forgot about Lemmy. We forgot about him.
So that's 2 races that our Season 2 champion hasn't been here to race. And one of those races that he did race, did he qualify for Lobby B at St. Croix? I think he did.
He did. And he won that race, didn't he?
Yes, he did win that Lobby B race, but still, at that Season 2 champion to Lobby B, still missing 2 races. This is going to be a disastrous season for him.
I think he's got over also work commitments too. I think you're going to put that into detail too.
I believe it is schoolwork. He was busy with school. I believe for them, their midterms. Finals, yes, finals.
Yeah.
Finals
right,
or midterm. Yeah. I believe. I think it's midterms. The midterms are starting to come up, so he's trying to get the study underway as we're getting our stuck check underway here at Nurburgring. So we'll bring, as soon as this stuck check is over and we start the race, we'll bring it back to you. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are here to start our final race 4 of our GR3 Championship Season 3. Alex Rogers on pole, followed by Thomas TT in second, Law 226 in third, but he has a drive-through. Stig in fourth, Dan fifth, Willie Wung in sixth, Nugatti 7th, PK in 8th, Robocopy 9th, 10th place is Crow, Beckham in 11th, Defiant in 12th, and then in 13th we have Kobu GT. It's a night race here in the Nurburgring 24-hour circuit, so the lights start to come on here. 4 lights are on. Let's see when they go out. No one jumps to start, and we're underway. Thomas TT seems to get a solid run down into turn 1 on board with Alex Rogers looking up the inside. Actually, Alex Rogers gets an excellent start. He leads ahead of Thomas TT going into turn 1. Looks like the Stig goes late dive bombing. Tries to go. Oh! That's a dive bomb move on to Thomas TT. Does he give the position back? He does. The stewards are going to have to look at that as he spins around. He spins around and goes towards the back of the pack here. So that's a terrible start from Stig as he's now 3 wide with Law 226 and Robocopy. And he's around again and he's in last place and makes contact with his teammate. A disastrous race start for the Stig here.
That was the second. Oh no, that was the first part. Gets it going again. And then just going in towards the Valvoline curve, I think he runs a little bit wide through there. Or did he get squeezed by Law?
I think he got a little bit of help from behind from CRubennnn.
Wow, another teammate there. So the 3 Nissans all get into each other.
That's not what you want to see. And now you see Stig starting to struggle towards the pack trying to close that gap. So it's going to be interesting here to see if he adapts the strategy. Alex Rogers still leads ahead of Thomas TT. Dan's in 3rd, Beckham in 4th, Willie Wug in 5th, Nugatti, the best placed Tier P driver, in 6th place. Law 226 behind him in 7th, Robocopy behind him. CRubennnn in 9th, PKMZ with a bad start for him, all the way back to 10th place. Defiant in 11th, Kobu GT in 3rd after making his 12th, after making contact with the Stig, who picks up a 0.9 second penalty there, and it looked like there was a bit of a pass trying to go on between PKMZ and CRubennnn, but it doesn't quite look like he quite got it done.
Oh, he's all over the back end of the sand, but he backs out of it. Oh, Crow little sideways through that left-hander there. Now they are side by side, but PK has the outside and tucks him behind Crow.
See what we can do here. On board with him. Looking back.
He's all over the back of him, isn't he? He's got the magnets on Crow. This is a very tricky part of the track because you can see how narrow this track is. Especially this part here, like it's impossible to get 2 cars side by side without making any contact.
And it is. And speaking of side by side, Law 226 makes a big mistake. Robocopy goes by, and CRubennnn is looking to go by with him, as well as PKMZ looking good, but no, Law swipes across, blocks PKMZ from going by, and CRubennnn is going to take a deep breath, knowing that PKMZ is not going to be all over the back of his rear bumper.
Pass possibly for 4th place, Willie Wug, the German, the hometown guy, on the inside of Beckham, and he gets it done. Nice pass there, and Willie's up to 4th place.
Yes, be careful, Nugatti doesn't try to go with him. That's a 3-car battle there. 37 minutes remaining. Not even 1 lap complete. That is the green hell, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go on board, and I mean on board with Nugatti here. We get this now beautiful cockpit view.
Look at the sparks fly there too. Too much curb. Nugatti, but holds onto it, and again all over the back end of Mercedes. I'm just looking at this other battle that's going on here. Looks like there's a 4-car battle for 7th place. Robocopy, the first guy to make his Tier A debut. He's got CRubennnn all over the back of him.
A big mistake and almost goes into the barrier. Does he stop it? No, he does go into the barrier. Does he suffer damage? He does not. But he gets it pointed straight once again. But he's going to lose several positions.
That spot.
He's going to come out right behind Kobu GT after that mistake.
That's what you didn't want to see there from Nugatti, who we actually had just noticed on the qualifying thing, out-qualified PK for the 2nd straight race.
That's very true. PK's been struggling in that Porsche. As we see another driver, actually Kobu GT, once again getting it wrong.
Oh, Kobu.
Does he suffer damage? He does not, but he gets it pointed in the right way once again. Let's see what happened here. Does he dip a tire? Does he get back on the throttle too early?
Just notice here, Stig has got some engine damage. It's got engine front right and front damage too. I've just looked at the replay, but I think I'm too far back to see it. How he got that.
Actually, looking at the mode, Willie Wugs actually managed to go by Dance. So Willie Wug will take 3rd place ahead of Dance.
We didn't see that because we were
You could look at all those headlights. Ooh. I love night racing.
If only they should have Tokyo with the next race that place. That would be mint.
Oh, I wish. I wish. Let's see if I can get the right camera angle here. There we go.
It's got a bit of a gap on Dan's there, by the looks of it on your screen.
It does seem like he does, but it doesn't look like he's catching Thomas TT just yet either. Thomas TT seems to be pulling out by several, almost a tenth on this long straightaway, which you would think would favor the Supra.
I think it would, man, but Willie, I know it's very early to say, but he's on course to equal his best finish. He's sitting there in 3rd place, but you know, 34 minutes left. There's plenty of time for that gap to catch up. You know, he's only got 3.5 seconds to catch up on Thomas. But it looks like Dan's is holding the train, is he?
Does Dan's happen to be starting on the medium tire?
No, he's on the soft tires, so I'm thinking that Ford Mustang's a little bit struggling around here. I wonder if it's the physical or mentality that he did 100 laps is already taking a toll on him.
It's quite possible. He did say that his hand was starting to quite hurt a little bit, and once again, Dan's a controller or a pad user. There's a steering wheel, so after 100 laps, they start to cramp up, they start to get a little tight, but this is a close battle pack that's arguably for 4th place right now.
I'll tell you something, Robocopy is catching Beckham really fast. I mean, this may be his first race in Tier 8, and you know, he's actually getting close to Dan's that's also in front of him, but he's got to get by Beckham first.
Ooh, yeah, he's all over him right now. He's all over him.
So, Robocopy looking menacing in that place, and he's wanting 5th place.
Now, where Robocopy did mention, I was looking at the Discord, he did mention that in practice for this race, he did roughly 115 laps. As Beckham makes a mistake, makes a bit of a mistake. Both drivers have to slow up, not to hit each other, and that allows CRubennnn right on the back of this pack, right before that long straightaway.
I think the stewards would be all right with that because Robocop did try and back out, but he had nowhere to go and went into Beckham. So, you know, I think from the steward's point there, I think that was no one's fault.
I think it was just Beckham going wide in the corner and almost losing the rear end, but he did manage to hold it. But now we have a 5-car battle for 5th place.
I think someone was passing. I think Law was having a look up the PK through the carousel, but I don't think he had it done. No, he hasn't.
Remember, Law does have a drive-through penalty. He is not allowed to take tires or fuel during that drive-through.
No, yeah, that's true, yeah.
So there you have it. There you see Alex Rogers just in the background there, leading ahead of Thomas TT.
Here comes Law. He's tucked up in the slipstream PK in the Porsche. That Supra should breeze by the Porsche. You know, Toyota's pretty good in the...
Robocop is looking too. Robocop is looking. Does CRubennnn to go with him? He's going to go to the inside. Does Beckham defend? He just gets in front. Robocop up into the top 5.
Very good show in this from Robocop. And he's also sticking it down too. So now you've got 4 drivers, 4th and 5th.
That's what they need in this championship for the constructors. They need those good points finishes. Dance hasn't had the best finishes, but he's been able to slowly claw it back. But now he's got some other help up to here in Lobby A.
Now, what was Law supposed to do? He's just come across the start-finish line and started lap 2. Was he supposed to take his drive-through penalty on the first lap?
I don't believe it's supposed to necessarily just be on the first lap. I believe it just has to be served. Let me just make sure here. The championship notices. Let me just make sure here. Law. It just says it has to be served. It does not say when.
Oh, okay then. Right.
However,
so I'm wondering.
I will say he cannot be served on the last lap, so he can't go in the pits and then cross the line.
Right. Okay. I was just going to mention that there, but you said him over. Runs right through Dunlop though, so PK's going on the back of the Toyota. again, just that speed of the Toyota that was just so good. Through the Schumacher S as they go. And that looks like a pretty entertaining battle for 6th place. And Beckham is on the medium tyres, where I thought Beckham ran wide there through. Was that Bill Gravino? Sorry, this is Bill Stein, isn't it? Let's just remember the corner names. We're not going to mention the corner names around the notes. You can pop off.
I don't know how to speak German, and I'm not going to try. I know carousel and Flugplatz. That's it. Here through as they go through the Vidal chicane. As Law gets a little sideways on the exit, clips too much of the dirt, but gets it pointed back forward again. This is a very close battle pack for 6th place, and up at the front of the field, Alex Rogers 3 seconds over Thomas TT, who has 4.6 over Willy Wug in 3rd, who has 2.2 over Danz in 4th, who has 4.3 over Robocopy, and the rest of this battle for 5th place.
I think Dan's is starting to reel in just a teensy bit on Willy for 3rd place. Oh, just nearly got a little loose through the exit of one of the borders. We're not going to pronounce. But yeah, this battle on for 5th place.
Ooh,
Beckham looks like he made a mistake.
Beckham did make a big mistake, as he's going to lose roughly 3 positions, if not 4 here.
4. Yeah, he's just lost it as well to PK. So what happened there? Did he just get on the power a bit too early?
Yeah, he just got on the power on the curb, and the car goes around on him, and he couldn't control it. He gets actually nudged wide by Law, so the stewards may have to look at that kind of move there. See if we can get another replay of that.
From Law's perspective.
Yeah, so go back to 8th place. So Beckham comes back on. He's slow, but it looks like Beckham. I argue that's Beckham's fault. He tries to take to the apex when he doesn't have racing speed, in my opinion. But the stewards will have a look at it, but just give him a little bit of help there.
I don't think there was anything that Law could do, really. He couldn't have backed out of it there because he would have been held up. So that puts Beckham down to 9th place. He has got a bit of breathing room though, 3.7 over Bugatti. Which I'll have a look actually further back, see if there's anything going. So Kobu is now 51 seconds behind the leader. So I think he must have made a pit stop. And his stick's gone up to 12th. So not a good day for the Nissans.
Actually, Danz has made a mistake at some point, as he's now right in front of Robocopy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's starting the gaps up to 6.5. Try to look at the replay. Oh, he made a mistake before that.
He goes wide.
Oh, so mine only happened twice.
He goes wide once again. 28 minutes remaining, just under it. So we have Robocopy trying to hold off CRubennnn, the 2 Mustang drivers, the 2 teammates, 4th and 5th place. So do you think Robocopy, if they are having to be in a team chat, does Robocopy say, hey Danz, look, I'm closing on you, you're making mistakes, let me go by, and then you hold off the rest of these hard-charging guys? Or do you say, don't worry Danz, you're higher the championship than me, you go for it, and I'll hold these guys off?
I think you got to think from the championship perspective. You got to let you got to let Danz go by. Yeah, you got to let Danz just have probably have the #1 priority that he should stay in that 4th position. Don't let Robocopy by, because then it could possibly end Dan's championship. So I would just stick as quo as it is. I'd say. Look at that camera angle. That's a nice camera angle, eh?
Well, lots of drones here at Nurburgring doing an awesome job here. It's CRubennnn just trying to do everything he can to try and find a way by Robocopy.
Someone just kicked up some grass there, a few corners. That was possibly might have been Lord in the Toyota, but looks like he's not really gained anything. Now they're probably about halfway round this lap. This bit's very fast here. Oh, just touched a bit of grass too. And then you got to be braking.
Whoa, side by side. CRubennnn trying to go on the outside here. A little bit of a touch, but he squeezes by. CRubennnn into 5th place. Great move.
Oh, and Law one's a little wide as we're going into myself for the 2nd time. Holds on to it though. Someone has actually dropped out. BK is. Sorry, no, it's. Someone's. Bugatti's put the penalty. It's Beckham that's lost out here. Oh, no, because we've seen him made a mistake there. Sorry, my bad.
So this is now a close battle for 5th place. 4-car battle as all the drivers get as much grass there as they can. Excuse me. Robocopy now back in the 5th place and back behind it. Looked like it was Beckham, actually, and Nugatti battling. They're trying to stay on this pack, but Nugatti got that 2.4 second penalty, which will have to be burned. But now he's all over the back of Beckham.
Drivers on softs will be making their pit stops, I think, maybe after this lap. The ones on mediums could be alright. I don't know if there's anyone that's actually started on mediums. I'll look through them all. So far, the first guy that's on mediums is Beckham in 9th place, and his tyres are nearly down 50% on the front. So I wonder if he will be making a pit stop even though he's on the mediums. I'd imagine so. Just looking through some of the others there too, and yeah, only Beckham is the only one on mediums. Looks like the top 3 have spread it out, and there you see Dan's there in 4th position.
Is he getting able to build that gap back up
to... he shortcut that corner. Dan's starting that shortcut that corner. Looks like he may have got away with that.
One thing to note is Dan's actually started to build that gap again, but once Cro-Magnon got that fresh air, he's pulled away from Robocopy. So Cro-Magnon and his GTR is doing an excellent job to catch up to our Season 1 champion.
I'm looking at Robocopy's front tyres and they're nearly falling off the cliff. He is struggling. I think Robo will have to make a pit stop here because his tyres are definitely falling off the cliff. Nugatti and Beckham side by side. Mercedes versus Porsche, 2 German engineering cars, and it looks like Nugatti's going to take his penalty, possibly the yellow flags.
Oh, Robocopy spins. Robocopy has spun.
That would be because of the tyres, I'm guessing. Let's have a look at the replay, see what he did. Running wide, isn't he? Understeers.
Just all understeers, gets in the dirt, and he's turning while he's in the dirt, and it just goes right around on him.
Yeah.
Luckily, no damage on his car. It's just his tire wear.
Yeah, his tires are completely gone. Alex is the first to make a pit stop. He'll possibly change to the medium tires, you'd think. But a bit of disaster there for Robocopy there. Not what we wanted to see after making a very good first lap.
Actually, Alex back went out again onto the soft tires. So trying to minimize that stint on the mediums.
Oh, yeah.
See Beckham coming on the mediums. Actually, PKMZ used a lot less fuel than some of the other competitors in Porsche, as well as his teammate Nugatti. As it is right there on the screen, you can see Cro-Magnon close right up to Dan's in the pit stop. He's now less than a second off the back of Dan's. So Cro-Magnon could be on for 4th place here if he can keep it neat and tidy.
I think all the practice that Cro-Magnon's been doing is sort of paying off, isn't it?
It has to be at this point.
Definitely on course for his best finish. I'm just looking through what his best race is so far. It's been a 12th place finish at Kyoto, so this will be miles better than what he's done at Kyoto.
After the pit stops, Alex Levers comes out ahead of Thomas TT by 7.5 seconds. And Thomas TT with 5 seconds to Willy Wug in 3rd, who has 12 seconds to Dan's behind him. And we've got less than a 10th, actually just a second now. We got the splits between him and Cro-Magnon and PKMZ using his superior fuel wear to actually try and catch up to that battle for 4th place.
And he is catching as well. Yeah, PK really. I've raced with PK around here. He's like really good around. I think we did like a little friendly race between like PK, Ruby, Thomas, and all that, and then he did like an 812 for this. All the rest of us did like an 820. But I think that was when he was in the Mercedes, and I remember one time I was actually ahead of PK. And it was a night race just like this, and he was all over the back of me, and he started flashing the lights, and it put me off, and he spun the car around. Stupid PK. Because he put me blooming off because he flashed the lights. How is he not flashing the lights against Cro-Magnon? Go on, do it! I'm taking Law has not put in his penalty in yet, hasn't he? Because he's...
I guess not.
No, he hasn't yet, nope.
He's got, as he makes a big mistake and actually goes off there, but keeps it pointed forward. Not too much time lost, but he does pick up a 2-second penalty.
He completely shortcut through there. Shortcut through one of the corners there. It's in 9th, Defiant. Yeah, Robocopy now all the way down to 12th place as a result of that spin. Sticky making a recovery drive though up to 11th. He's got Defiant all over in front of him. Just shy of 4 attempts between the Stick and Robocopy. Sorry, Defiant. Apologies. But this is what we've seen from the Stick before, and I was going to put this on one of the moment races with Stick because he was supposed to start on pole position. Then he had the 3 good replacement, went down to, and then he had a terrible start. By the end of the second lap, he was laughing, and he worked his way up to 4th place. So it's not all over for the Stick. He's actually very close to Defiant here. He's having a look on the 10th place. So nice solid pass there on the Stick. Oh, in fact, he's gone off. He went off. My bad.
And I'm not quite sure here. I want to make sure I get a good look at that here because he went off in the gravel trap, but I want to see the rejoin. Because he got Robocopy behind him.
So he went off there, and there just went Robocopy. There was room to stick a Ford Mustang in there, so it was all good. It was pretty close, but there was enough room.
Stick still in 12th, Kobu GT behind him in 13th. Currently the best placed GTR is CRubennnn in that 5th place.
I think we may have lost a bit of time actually on Dan's, isn't he? He came up very close to the back of Dan's rear wing, but he's fallen down to nearly 2.5 seconds. Now PK in that Porsche is looking hungry.
Yeah, he is. He again wants to try and claw back some points from this championship.
Oh, sorry. I was supposed to say Laws gained Hingy the 10th off his penalty. My bad. Sorry. I'm getting excited again.
Let's have a look back at the leader. Alex Rogers has opened up the lead to nearly 9 seconds over Thomas TT, who's opened up 5 seconds over Willie Wug in 3rd, with 12.5 to Dan's in 4th place. 18 minutes remain here in the Nurburgring. And currently, this is the closest battle on track between CRubennnn and PKMZ.
Yeah, this is just perfect for Alex Rogers there. Willie used 30 points to second, 3rd place. Willie will definitely go into 2nd place. I think the gap between Willie to Alex Rogers was about 70 points, so that will increase. It's all looking rosy for Alex Rogers. Beetle.
PKMZ doing the best he can, trying to stay on the back of CRubennnn. Doesn't want the GTR build that gap so it can break away on that long straightaway it's got here. Looking through the rest of the field, we got Beckham in 8th place, Bugatti in 9th, Robocopy in 10th, actually stayed once again back on the back of him, as Defiant is in 12th place. So I guess Defiant made a mistake at some point to fall back between both of them.
Yeah, because he's got a Kobu all over the back of him, actually. Yeah, so Defiant must have made a mistake that we didn't see. Kobu runs a little wide.
Actually, one thing I haven't noticed is Defiant is in the Mustang. He's not normally a driver we see in Tier A, but we have 3 Mustangs here in the Nurburgring, which I would say it's a little unpredictable.
Yeah, 3 Fords, 3 Nissans, and a couple of Porsches, 1 Beetle, I think, Toyota, 1 Lexus. Yeah, and like all the cars that have 1 on home, I'm sort of struggling. He's really wanting that 12th place away from Defiant there. He's really gaining on Defiant here. We should look at the 10th place.
So Nissan versus Mustang and Nissan versus Mustang, and if you look, the battle between 4th and 5th is even closer once again. It'd be Mustang versus Nissan.
If you were PK there, would you try and overtake him? Do you feel Pro's probably holding you?
That's a tough one. PK is fast on his own and he knows that, but I feel like he knows if he wants to kick up with Dan's, he needs to have the draft of that GTR on that long straightaway. Just the Porsche does not have that straight line speed, and I'm sure you've experienced that many a time driving the Porsche in Season 1. So having the draft of that GTR on that long straightaway and be able to save a bit of fuel and then close up in the pit stops when you have one more to make. I think that's his strategy right now. Just sit tight behind CRubennnn, use the draft from him, save a bit of fuel, and try to jump as many of them as you can in the pit stop.
Well, here we go, on this straightaway now, so let's see if PK can actually stay in the slipstream back up. In fact, PK had a CRubennn's going to have to make a pit stop because he's flashing red. He didn't top off a lot of fuel like some of the others did. And in fact, Alex is also in as well. One lap stint there for that second pit stop for Alex alone.
Well, we saw what happened to Robocopy when he tried to do 2 laps on a set of softs, and it didn't work out for him. We see Thomas TT and Willy Wug also in, but you can see the fuel difference, the difference in fuel consumption between them. So Alex comes out onto the medium. So he's on the mediums. 14 minutes remaining. Let's see what Thomas comes out with.
I'll have a look as well for you. Thomas will cut. Well, he's definitely having fuel in. He will go on to mediums too. I wonder if they're good to go to the end of the finish here, Lateral.
They might be on the fuel and the tires if they can run it to the end, because they do have to do 1 lap on the mediums. They can't just do the lap thing and immediately come in. They can't do that. They have to complete the lap, so at least what would technically be 1 lap, because you come into the pit lane before you're crossing the finish line. But basically they kind of have to do 2 full laps of the Nurburgring in a way for it to actually count. So with 14 minutes remaining, they're on this to the end.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I would say so too. Going back to what we said a few ages ago, prior to the race, we said that Lemmy wasn't racing. I also noticed that Kev's not racing too.
That's a good point. We haven't seen Kev for this race. And looking at the battle between PK and CRubennnn, PK has managed to jump CRubennnn in the pit stops. And now it looks like the top 6, Nugatti, let's see what he's on. He's on the mediums.
Guys, who's on mediums. Beckham's on
actually, Nugatti's done an excellent job, currently sitting in 7th place, and he should be good to go to the end.
Yeah, he should be good to go. I'm curious though with Beckham, because he started the race on mediums. He's now gone to the soft tyres. Do you think he might be able, I don't know, 13 minutes in, do you think he can hold on for 2 laps on those softs? I guess he did, because, you know, they all paid in with their first 2 laps on the softs, didn't they? So I'd imagine it's good.
But we've seen him make mistakes, and when those softs start to wear, will those mistakes begin to pop up again?
He's looking all over the back of the Porsche that was going into the game, and Nugatti, he's just going to give up easily. Yep, so Beckham will inherit that 7th place, and he starts catching CRubennnn, just less than 6 seconds on him.
Getting back to law, I believe most of the drivers are now on the medium tire. Robocopy, Defiance on the softs, and Kobu's on the medium. So only really 2 drivers on the softs for this last stint.
Also to report there, Law has still not done his drive-through penalty just yet.
And looking at Alex Rogers in the lead, he's opened it up to almost 15 seconds.
That's just the sheer dominance that Alex was saying. What he said in the interview, he was definitely not wrong there. And like I said, this is big for his championship. He's got to extend that lead. Chili's not racing. 3rd place, Willie is sitting 3rd place in points. It's just perfect for the championship leader.
It is, but Willy Wug is the closest he's ever been to Thomas so far, but he seems to be slowly falling off the back of him. Just maybe 3.3 separate them, so we'll see. But there's 14 seconds, almost 15 between Willy Wug and Dan's, who's in a solid 4th place by himself, and PK just behind him. So we'll see if that gap can continue to close over the course of the next few laps. 2.9 there, CRubennnn 2.4 behind PK, 4.3 behind them to Beckham, and then less than a second separate Beckham and Nugatti, but we saw Beckham pass Nugatti on their new set of tires, so I don't expect that battle to once again be forming.
Good shout out here as well to Thomas. They're sitting in 2nd place, as you said there. He picked up his first ever podium in the first race, so this is a much needed performance for Thomas.
That's his yellow flag. What happened? Who was that?
Who's got off?
It was 8th. CRubennnn spun.
Oh, Crow! Oh, what did he do, Crow?
Let's get a replay of what happened.
He runs wide.
And the car goes around in the grass. the cold, wet grass here in the middle of the night, and just those slick tires have no grip. He waits for both Bugatti and Beckham to go by, and there's another car as we see Law go by. Picks up no damage from touching the wall, but what looked to be a very strong finish for CRubennnn now seems to have slipped away.
That's disappointing there. Terribly disappointing there. Not a good showing then for the Nissan's 9th, 10th, and I believe 12th. Sorry, 13th for the three Nissans there. What could have been a lot better there for CRubennnn.
There should still be some good points when everything is all combined. They still have 3 GTRs in Tier A, but when you compare it to the Mustangs of Dan's in 4th, I was going to say...
Robocopy and Defiant.
Yeah, Robocopy and Defiant. I mean, I would have to favor the Mustangs for this. The Mustangs haven't been doing too bad, but they could definitely use the points.
Less than 10 minutes to go. The gap between Thompson and Willie is still stabilising, still around the 3-second mark. But I think PK is slowly catching in on Dan's place for 4th place. I did see it last time about 2.2. It's now 1.9. So PK looking a lot better on those medium tyres.
And Nurburgring's current 7th place, after we got passed by Beckham, he's been able to claw it back after that mistake that we saw earlier on in the race. So Bugatti's should be on for some good points. So Team Dynasty shouldn't be coming away too unhappy as long as they can keep those positions that they currently have.
And going by from what you said there, and I'm touching up on Law on this, but you said there that the drivers can't make their pit and stop penalty on the last lap. So technically, Law has to be in on this lap.
Yes, Law does have to at least serve his drive through no tires, no fuel on this lap. And if he doesn't, stewards aren't going to be too happy.
I'll keep an eye on Law to see if he does a free penalty on this lap.
Actually, the gap between Beckham and PK and Dan says dropped significantly, 1.2 now.
Dan looked like he ran wide there after the second carousel and onto the straightaway. I think. Is that nearly the straightaway? No, my bad. No, it's not.
So PK is doing the best that he can to pilot that Porsche around this track. I'm sure he's happy that he picked the Porsche for this race. 1 second now separate them, less than a second.
Yeah, he's closing in really fast on that Ford Mustang. Is the Ford good around the medium tyres?
I can't say I'm too familiar. As the next time they cross the line, it will be the final lap as we've crossed now 8 minutes remaining.
PK had a huge moment, but he still didn't lose any time. Yeah, it just seems to be that Dan's sort of... Oh my god, PK! He is trying! Bless his heart, he is really trying for that four.
Thing is, they're coming up to the long straightaway, which will heavily favor that Mustang. So this is where PK is strongest, but we're going to get to the sector where the Mustang is strongest. So we're going to see how well that gap maintains here.
Garty's actually closed up a lot on Beckham. It's now less than 3 tenths of a second. So we've got ourselves a battle for 6th place here, between the Mercedes and Porsche.
That's a very good point. So perhaps those soft tires not quite working because he has another lap to do on them. We have Law behind him, but he's got that penalty to serve, and Bugatti's all over the back of Beckham here. So we could see a Porsche in 4th and 5th place here. Or excuse me, 6th place, not quite close enough to dance.
I just don't know how fast Mercedes is down on the straightaway if it's faster than the Porsche. We know both the Mercedes and the Porsche are very good on the brakes. It looks like the Mercedes is slowly pulling away from the Porsche. Now we're also coming on to where the start-finish line is. So I'm looking at Whitney on this lap.
We do have a question in the chat from Jake Dan Harry. We have Beckham on the softs for the last stint and Defiant on the softs for the last stint, who is actually currently trying to hold off Kobu GT for the last spot in the lobby.
Right, so I'm looking again at Law. He's just come through the last corner, so he should come into the pit lane. And he doesn't. He doesn't come in. So then it's up to you, Stuart. What are you going to do for that?
I don't believe he has served that penalty. We only saw the 2 pit stops from all the drivers. I haven't seen Law make that other pit stop. So, and you can't serve a drive-through while taking tires and fuel. That is in the rules. We have discussed this between me and the stewards before. So, and he can't make the pit stop on the last lap because then it basically doesn't matter. So,
well, this technically is the last lap. It's 5.
Mm-hmm.
Well, 5.5 minutes to go. So this is the last lap. So Law could be in a bit of trouble.
Still Alex Rogers, Tom TT, Willie Wugg, still your top 3. Dan's in 4th, but he's got PK all over the back of him. Then we have Beckham in 6th with Nugatti all over the back of him. So who will come out on top first? Will it be PK passing Dan's first, or will it be Nugatti passing Beckham first?
I think PK is looking the more comfortable of the drivers on those mediums. Dan's is looking a bit worse for wear on the mediums. He looked good on the softs, but I don't think the Ford's working well on those medium tyres. Yeah, you can see there Dan's went a little wide through the window. PK took it perfect. So Dan's, even though he has raced 5. We shouldn't give Dan a bit of slack here. He's been there, driving his ass off this whole day. So, for him to be in 4th place, potentially maybe 5th, is still an incredible achievement, considering he's done 4-hour stint last week, and also did about 100 laps around Spa on Super GT stream. So, should give him a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, Dan is doing an excellent job, and he is racing in the Spa 3-hour endurance that we're going to be having on November 23rd in a GR1 car. So LMP1 for Dan's in that race. Throwback to when your first commentary job, when I happened to race in the Le Mans event. I was in the Corvette, and Dan's was also in the Group 1 for that event. So
yeah, that was, yes. So that brings back, eh?
Let's go on board with PK for this here. He's all over the back of Dan's here in the draft. He's quite close enough to find a move. He's catching by thousandths of a second here. He's quite close enough to late break unless Dan's makes a mistake. He's hounding him.
Dan's just kicking up a lot of grass there. I wonder if he's trying to do that to put PK off, but it looks like it's not affecting PK one bit.
It's quite possible.
Oh, battle 1 over 6, side by side. That one, Gaddy's and Beckham, they're both off.
Try and get a replay of what happened here.
I don't know, they were side by side going into the right hander, and they just seemed to go off. Now I don't know if Beckham was to protect the position, but you can call this here fast.
He tries to go around the outside, and then they both just kind of lose it. Didn't look like there was contact between them.
And don't forget, Beckham was on the soft tyres, and that allows Law to go through. But like I said, Law hasn't served this drive-through penalty, so a bit more entertainment now for the stewards for this.
Trying to do our best that we can to try and keep on top of the incidents here, make their lives a little bit easier. Developing stories. We have PK still all over the back of Dan's. This will be the final lap. Oh, he almost loses the rear end of that Porsche, but he keeps it pointed forward.
Yeah, you can't fault PK for trying now. I think he's on course for his best finish this season to get by Dan's. He had a 5th place at Sedegna. I can't remember when he finished it. It's St. Croix, but you can't fault PK here for trying.
He's definitely been giving her the best that he can. And back at the front of the field, Alex Rogers still leading by just under 15 seconds. Thomas TT in 2nd, Willie Wugg in 3rd, and then back to the battle for 4th place between Dan's and PK. Law in 6th, but as we mentioned, we're pretty sure he hasn't properly served his drive-through penalty. Nugatti in 7th, Beckham in 8th, Cro-Magnon in 9th, Stig in 10th, Robocopy in 11th, Kobu GT 12th, and Defiant 195 in 13th. Back to the battle for 4th place between PKMZ and Dan's.
Yeah, it's anyone's battle here, and this has been a good, fun, entertaining battle between the season 1 champion and the guy who finish second or third, PK? I can't mind. No, was it third?
Third in season 2.
Oh, and it's a little sideways going into carousel. Does that allow PK to close up a bit?
It just might have. He's having a hard time trying to find a way by, but in the carousel now, let's see what they can do. Will the gap close on the exits? They'll have a second between them. It actually has closed a bit.
Oh, I can't go who wants that 4th place more, Dan's or PK. Dan's doing so well to hold PK back.
Just taking a little bit at the peek at their fuel there, trying to make sure they have enough to make it to the end, and they should. There's 10 seconds remaining in the race. So as we mentioned, this is now the final lap.
Again, Dan's kicking up more grass. He's tried everything to hold on to that 4th place, but PK's not phased.
Another question in the chat from Smitty, asking about Alex as he was racing the week before, commentating last week, and now racing again. Last week was a special one-off event. We had the endurance race, which my co-commentator here, Savoy, was also racing in. So it's just a special one-off event. So Alex decided to join me on commentary without participating in it. But the week before and this week are our official GR3 championship season, so that's why you see Alex Rogers racing in these events, but not the one last week. The gap between first and last place, it looks to be about 1 minute and 27.
I don't know if I'm going to be a bit geeky here, but Alex's performance here could be one of the biggest gaps that we've seen in ARC. If I can remember correctly, Rubens won the Nurburgring race by about the same margin, about 15 seconds. I can't remember who finished in 2nd place, but this has been a quite clearly flawless drive again from Alex, who has really turned a corner then in season 3 after spending most of the seasons driving a Porsche.
But there's also a bit of a caveat to that, and not to sour his victories this season or his skill as a driver. As he comes up to the line, you take the checkered flag for his what would be his 3rd win here this season and extend his driver championship lead. But a bit of a caveat: some of the drivers that we've normally had towards the top are in this season not necessarily in cars that they favor.
Whoa.
We have Lemmy in the Jag. We have Dan's in the Mustang, so they're not necessarily in their best and most favorited cars. PK's in the Porsche, so the only real competition that we've seen from him in these races is Chili in the Citroen, which is someone who isn't normally on the top step of the podium. So I don't want to sour his
Oh! What happened there? Wow!
There's an incident between Dan's and PK. Let's see what happens here. So looking side by side at the exit of the straightaway, they're side by side. Let's see what happens.
Is he pushing?
Did PK give a bit of a bump? I think PK might have misjudged the braking zone. He does. He does tap him.
But he gave the place up though and gave Dan's that 4th place after that.
So a bit of sportsmanship there from PK. He knows he ran into the back of him, but they're gonna have to. Stewart's gonna be looking at that. And another thing they're gonna have to look at is Law 226's possible lack thereof of
a drive-through penalty. He didn't serve it.
So let's go over our current positions. Alex Rogers with a very dominant win here at Nurburgring. Thomas TT in second, his second place of the year. Willie Wug once again matching his best finish of, I believe it was last race at St. Croix in 3rd place. Dan's in 4th after the incident between him and PK, but PK will relinquish the position, but I'm sure the stewards won't necessarily like that law. We're not sure if he actually served his drive-through, but in 6th place, officially Nugatti in 7th, Beckham in 8th, Cro-Magnon in 9th, Stig in 10th, Robocopy 11th, Defiant 195 in 12th, and then Kobu GT will be the last driver to cross the line. He has this long straightaway to go in the last few more corners, but he will be the final one across the line.
Oh, that was turned out to be an exciting battle for 4th place, and it just went to tears there after the long straightaway when PK looked like he did misjudge his braking. Oh, what's he done? What's Kobu doing?
I think that was just a little bit of Kobu just decided not to turn for that corner. I don't think there's any other way to put it aside from Kobu GT not necessarily happy with his performance here today. He hasn't been the most consistent driver this season, and he knows that.
and it's his favourite car. He's in his favourite car, and he's not performing the results.
And any races where he has been able to perform, it's at the very last second it slipped away from him. But there's your finishing order. Congratulations to Alex Rogers on his 3rd win this season. Only 1 win he hasn't won. Only 1 race he hasn't won, and that was Chilled Nom Nom last race. But he still finished 2nd, so I think Alex Rogers at this point is probably the odds-on favorite to take home the championship this year. But congratulations to him for that finish. And ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back momentarily.
Also, before, I think with that win, Alex Rogers is now the all-time most winningest driver in Tier A. That's now got his 6th win. Lemmy had 5. So Alex is now the most winningest driver in Tier A.
All right, well, we'll try to be back momentarily with some driver interviews. We'll see how many actually want to talk to us today after some of them having a not necessarily the best race they've had. But don't go anywhere. We'll be back momentarily, ladies and gentlemen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here for some driver interviews. Unfortunately, it only seems we have one driver here with us today, but it is our race winner, Alex Rogers. Alex, you here?
Hey, what's up? What's happening?
Well, first things first, I have to congratulate you on what seemed to be your dominant victory here at Nurburgring. Your 2nd one after the endurance race we ran here. I believe it was in the middle of season 2, so...
Yeah, something like that.
But
yes,
Savoy did give me an interesting stat. with this win, you've come to 6 wins in Tier A, which is now the all-time most winning driver in Tier A.
Woohoo!
I'm
happy with that.
You've now beat Lemmy in his 5 wins, so you have that to your name now. So, but after your win today, you've won every race this season except for one, and in that race, you still finished 2nd place. Do you feel your championship is still up in the air, or at this point, do you feel you have it pretty locked down?
I don't know. It'd be easy to sit here and say yeah, but I don't really want to because it's just complacent, isn't it? So I'm gonna say no for now. It's not over till it's over, because it just takes one bad race, doesn't it? And other people come back into the picture, and we don't really know how these cars do around Spa. I'm not predicting the Beetle's going to be good next round, so it's not over just yet. But 3 wins is I'm pretty happy with that. I wasn't expecting that going into the season, and it's been pretty sweet so far.
Now, one thing I do have to bring up after your success this season, I don't mean to rain on your parade or sour any of your victories or possibly your championship hopes here, but do you feel that maybe there's a bit of an asterisk next to this potential championship for you, knowing that some of your strongest rivals for the championship, like Dan's and Lemmy and PK, aren't necessarily in their favorite cars here?
But I'm not in my favorite car either. So this car's definitely got its issues. I don't. I know what you're saying, but I mean, just as easy, you could put an asterisk against anybody else's name and said, well, first season, some of us only turned up halfway through the season, and second season, some of us spun out at Suzuka or every time they could. So I don't know. Everybody's got used to their car by now, surely. So I think it's. Just think this is where we're at, isn't it? Really.
Okay. Well, as we mentioned, next race, Tokyo. Street course, one of the only in the game. As you mentioned, you don't feel the Beetle's necessarily going to be the strongest here. A lot of long straightaways, sweeping corners. What do you think you're going to do for the strategy there?
I haven't even began to figure out. I ran a couple of races the other day. We didn't get on too well with it. It's a closed track, man. It's hard to nail every lap, and when you start factoring in tire wear, it's gonna be super difficult. And then I think once tire wear starts to kick in, we lose the advantage quite a lot. Like at St. Croix, for example, but when I started losing the edge on the tires, it was just pointless. Me being anywhere on the tracks, it was just slow. But I don't know what we're gonna do really. We'll just have to figure it out. Probably something similar to all the other races, to be honest with you. But we'll see what happens.
All right, well, good luck next round, as we're now back to regular races with 2 more left in the championship. You still currently hold the lead, and congratulations on your win here today.
Thanks, Lat. Appreciate it. Cheers, guys.
All right, well, that'll be our only driver interview today after Nurburgring. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll have to bid you adieu for now. But as I just mentioned, we'll be back next week, next Sunday to be exact, for Tokyo Expressway, one of the only street courses in the game. Should be an interesting race. All the drivers I missed today should be back. So don't forget to like and subscribe. It means a lot to us. It helps build our view count and make this a bit more of a legitimate thing. We put a lot of work and effort into this, and it would mean a lot to us if you help show some love for the stuff we're putting out for you. So thank you for joining us here today, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to like, subscribe, show up for next race, and don't forget to keep racing.